Good morning, ladies. Happy Friday. I hope you're doing well. It's Friday. We made it through the first week of January. How do you feel? Because I feel good. Still don't know what type of day it is. Feels more like a Saturday to me. However, we made it through and it was an awesome week to say the least. We're hopping on for our Bible in a year morning devotion. We are going to be on Genesis chapter 12, Genesis chapter 12 through 14. And today we're going to be discussing in these Bible chapters pretty much God's covenant with Abraham and his call to the new land, and how it starts to set the precedence for all the different changes that he's going to make. And today I'm going to post all of the scriptures that came out and what we reviewed, but today I'm going to do something a little different. Today I'm going to try to read the 3 chapters to you all so you all can get the word instead, and I'm going to see if I can definitely do it hopefully in 10 minutes. So today is going to be a new try with how we're going to go through the devotion, and I am learning as I am going because I'm doing this on the fly daily, only to hold myself accountable and help any other fellow ladies that would like to hear the word as well. Now, we're on Genesis chapter 12. It's titled Promises to Abraham, and this is how it begins, okay? It says, verse 1, Now the Lord had said to Abram, Get out of the country and from your family and from your father's house to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. We're on verse 3. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you, and in all of the families of the earth shall be blessed. We're on verse 4. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Then Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all of their possessions that they had gathered, and the people whom they had acquired in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. So they came to the land of Canaan. Abraham passed through the land to the place of Shechem, as far as the terebinth tree of Moreh. And the Canaanites were in the land. I'm on verse 7 at this point in chapter 12. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, To your descendants I will give you this land. And there he built an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. And he moved from there to the mountain east of Bethel, and he pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Verse 9 says, So Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. At this point in verse 10, Abram is now in Egypt. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there, and the famine was severe in this land. And it came to pass when he was close to entering Egypt, that he said to Sarai his wife, Indeed I know that you are a woman of beautiful countenance. Therefore it will happen when the Egyptians see you that they will say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will let you live. Please say you are my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, and that I may live because of you. So it was in verse 14, when Abram came into Egypt, that the Egyptians saw the woman, that she was very beautiful. The princess of Pharaoh also saw her and commended her to the Pharaoh. And the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house. He treated Abram well for her sake. He had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male and female servants, female donkeys, and camels. But the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that you have done to me? We're in verse 18. Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Like Abram, instead of having faith that Pharaoh wasn't going to kill him and his wife going through, he told his wife to lie and pretend that it was his sister. Who does that? It's talking about walking by faith, right? Why did you say she is my sister? I might have taken her as my wife. Now, therefore, here is your wife. Take her and go away. Because at this point, God's plaguing Pharaoh because of what he's doing with someone else's wife. So Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had. Abram inherits Canaan. We're in verse 13, chapter 13, verse 1. Then Abram went up from Egypt, and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him to the south. Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. And he went out his journey from the south and as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning. between Bethel and Ai. Ai is spelled Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Verse 5. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Excuse me, if you see me, I might have to sneeze in a second, so my eyes are tearing. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And in verse 7, and there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. The Canaanites and the Perizzites then dwelt in the land. So Abram said to Lot in verse 8 in chapter 13, please let there be no strife between you and me, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brethren. Is that not the whole land before you? Please separate from me. If you take left, then I will go to the right, or if you go to the right, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted his eyes and saw all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you go towards Zoar. We're on chapter 13, verse 11 at this point, if you are following along. Excuse me. My allergies are acting up this morning. Excuse me. Okay. Verse 11, then Lot chose for himself all the plain of the Jordan, and Lot journeyed east. And they separated from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. On verse 14, and the Lord said to Abram, after Lot has separated from him, lift your eyes now, and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you see I give to you and your descendants forever. And I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if man could number the dust of the earth, then your descendants also could be numbered. In verse 17, arise, walk in the land through his length and its width, for I give it to you. Then Abram moved his tent and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to the Lord. Apologize if I'm butchering these names. We're on our Genesis chapter 14, Lot's captivity and rescue. And it came to pass in the days of Ephraim, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that they made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. In verse 3, all these joined together in the valley of Siddim, that is, known as the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, verse 5, Chedorlaomer, it's Chedorlaomer. So I'm hopefully pronouncing that correctly. And the kings that were with him came and attacked the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Carnium, and Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in Sheva, Kiriathaim, and the Horites in their mountain of Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness. In verse 7, then they turned back and came to En-Misphah, that is known as Kadesh, and attacked all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites who dwelt in Hezazon Tamar. And the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and joined together the battle in the valley of Siddim against Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, kings of nations. And verse 10, now the valley of Siddim was full of asphalt pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled. Some fell there, and the remainder fled to the mountains. And they took the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their provisions and went their way. They also took Lot, Abraham's brother, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. In verse 14, then who had escaped that came and told Abram and Hebrew, for he dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and they were allies with Abraham. In verse 14, now when Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his 318 trained servants who were born in his own house and went in pursuit as far as Dan. He divided his forces against them by night, and his servants attacked them and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is north of Damascus. So he brought back all the goods, and also brought back his brother Lot and his goods, as well as the women and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him at the valley of Shaveh, after his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer, and the kings were with him. In verse 18, then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was the priest of the God Most High. And he blessed him and said, verse 20, blessed be Abram of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And he gave him a tithe of all. In verse 21, now the king of Sodom asked Abram, give me the persons and take goods for yourself. Verse 22, but Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to the Lord, God Most High, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will take nothing, from a thread to a sandal strap, and that I will not take anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich, except only what the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, and your Eshal and Mamre, let them take their portion. And of course, Abram's even thinking about people after the fact and making sure that they're blessed. But that's chapters 12 through 14. God's covenant with Abraham and his call to the new land, and all the intricacies that he did in between his wife, between Lot, between saving them, between conquering wars. He did the dang thing, and now they're going to be settling in. So at this point, we are on 11 minutes and 50 seconds, went over about 2 minutes, so we will see how the flow goes. But I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. It got you thinking. Please do read chapters 12 through 14 of Genesis on your own. Feed yourself with the word. I'm just a messenger. I hope you have an awesome and blessed day. Have a great weekend. Let's finish strong. Talk to you soon.